Welcome to BSW's Tech Dive. Tech Dive.
Submerge the ship.
The show goes technically deep into products you care about. The new, the old, the newish. So put on your gear, close up the hatch, and prepare to
Dive. Submerge the ship.
And now, here's John.
Welcome to this edition of BSW Tech Dive. I am John Lynch, Director of Business Development for Broadcast Supply Worldwide and BSWUSA.com. Today, our topic is codecs, although it may be one you've not heard of before, and that's the whole point of this particular Tech Dive show. We're bringing on as our special guest, he is the Director of Sales for the Americas for a company called Syntax, which is the exclusive distributor for Digigram product, and the topic is going to be the IQOYA. So let's bring on our guest. His name is Derek Badala. And Derek, first off, the IQOYA is not just a single line item. It is a series of products in this new line from Digigram. Give us a little highlight of each one.
Sure, that is exactly right. The IQOYA series consists of a technology called Fluid IP, and in their essence, they are audio codecs. There are some hardware solutions in there, and there's some software, cloud solutions in there. So it is a range of solutions, all in the area of codec audio, specifically codec technology.
So far, this has been picked up pretty well on the television side, as I understand.
It has. In the United States, it's not quite as well known as it is worldwide. Worldwide, definitely radio, but here in the U.S. and South America, a little bit more on the TV remote side.
And part of that reason would be it's a little bit late to the codec party in the United States with other brands more readily known, and that's the point of this show. Make this one more readily known and what you can do with it.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting history. Digigram is really no stranger to audio over IP.
No.
For those of you that have been in this industry for any length of time, you may remember a format called Ether Sound back when CobraNet, and this is prior to Dante and AS67. And Digigram invented Ether Sound. So they've been doing audio over IP on LAN for quite some time.
Plus, most people who have been around the block a little bit know of Digigram audio cards. So.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Their goal over the last 10 or 15 years has been to replace ISDN and do it reliably. And that's what really the IQOYA line is all about, doing reliable audio transport.
We'll start off with IQOYA Talk. That's a major one because that's the one that would be used by people in the field, whether they might be doing sportscasting like I've done over the years, or could be a podcaster, could be a lot of different ways, remote broadcast for radio, etc. But tell us a little bit about IQOYA Talk.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be video B-roll here, but this is the IQOYA Talk. It's a portable codec. I sort of, if I'm talking to a non-technical person, I tell them, look, it's like a cell phone, a mixer, and a codec all in one. Mm-hmm. What is unique about it versus some of the other solutions out there is, first of all, you're on air in one click. Second, you can remote control it from the studio. Very few codecs have that capability. So if the studio wants to take control of that unit, all the talent really has to do is turn it on and log in with a provided username, password combination, and all their settings can be predetermined by engineers ahead of time, mixer settings, headphone mixes, even if they're using a certain type of microphone that requires a certain preamp gain, just to get them 99% of the way there from the first moment they start.
Well, let me get one thing across here. I know an awful lot of broadcast engineers around the country that like that idea that they can control it and not leave it to the talent.
Yeah, all the talent really has to do is talk, put on a headset, microphone, and plug it in.
Well, what we've talked about for years and years is, hey, whether it's podcasting, broadcasting, whatever, content is the most important. And if the talent can focus strictly on that, and the engineer is taking care of the technical side, makes it a lot easier for the talent to deliver the content they're trying to do.
Yeah, and one of the things, when this was developed, did a lot of research on, start with the radio station. When you have portable codecs, and many times a facility might have several, and they would have to know exactly which unit was going to be taken off the shelf that weekend or that morning and pre-configure it ahead of time. Now, if you have 4 or 5 in your stock, so to speak, it doesn't matter which unit the talent takes because it's all based on the cloud. And having the ability to take ownership of it from the studio and control all the audio settings really makes it perfect. Some other unique things about it, though, because a lot of people ask me, well, what else is different? Well, it has an onboard 64 gigabyte hard drive, so I can record interviews on and offline. It also has 3 inputs and 4 headphone. So really, for a lot of sports commentary and journalistic commentary, it has everything you really need. And it comes with everything. There's no gotchas. You have the 2 SIM card and mobile antennas and Wi-Fi and dual Ethernet ports. Everything's built in. So there's really nothing to worry about. Even comes with a battery and a charger.
And something that's very important, particularly at certain levels of sportscasting, it's a small footprint.
Oh, yeah. It's a small footprint, and it doesn't overheat. Some of our competitors, there's been known to have some heating issues in the field, especially if it's in the sun. This is really not that way at all. And the touch screen works just like a cell phone. So even the talent is very accustomed to getting around on it if they have to.
And again, this particular unit, why don't you hold it up again? We call it IQOYA Talk. That's the remote unit, IQOYA Talk from Digigram. Move it slightly over and more in front of the camera. There we go. So yeah, see, small footprint, very important, because I've done a lot of those high school games where they give you about this much space and that fits into that much space. So that's important.
Yeah, and it's all lit too. So you have talkback and you just turn on the microphone and everything's well lit for the talent. And if you're in a dark area, it's also easy to see. And on the back, it has pretty much all the I/O you'd want. You can even charge your cell phones while you're on air, which is pretty cool.
There you go. Hey, who's going to need to do that? Just about anybody.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I get a lot of questions about interoperability. Like if you don't have a Digigram Enterprise in your facility, can you use this with your existing codecs? And the answer is absolutely. We can register those codecs on our system and connect to it. I've done some videos of exactly how to do that with some of the competition, and it works very, very easy.
So you can integrate this with others that you may already have in your system and be able to expand the capability of what your remote packages, remote kits would have. Let's talk about briefly, we talked about broadcast, we'll come back to it, but let's talk about what's really growing. Huge is the podcast world. And how does IQOYA Talk fit in there?
Well, there's several ways, and there's some ancillary products that we'll probably get to in this discussion called IQOYA Guest. But one of the things with podcasting is doing remote interviews. You don't always have the luxury of having your guest side by side. If you did, certainly you can just sit down with the IQOYA Talk. It is a self-contained recording device. So if you want to record your podcast in a lobby, hotel room, conference, trade show, and your guest happens to be there, it's super convenient. It's all built in. You just plug in your thing and go and record. If you want to do live podcasting, where you're literally recording and streaming live. In other words, you're not making a recording of the podcast and uploading it for people to listen to on demand, but it's going to be more like a live podcast, like a radio show. You can do that as well with that codec back to a studio or wherever. Another thing that, we'll get into is this technology known as IQOYA Guest. And for podcasting, that is really powerful. So what is IQOYA Guest? IQOYA Guest essentially is me sending my remote guest nothing more than a URL. They don't have to download any software. They don't have to do anything. They can literally just click on the link on a smartphone, on a desktop or laptop computer, and have a high quality connection to that IQOYA Talk box or to any codec that I happen to be using. So IQOYA in a broader sense is perfect for podcasting, especially the IQOYA Guest and IQOYA Talk combination.
We'll get more into that in our next edition of BSW Tech Dive with Derek Badala, as we'll be talking not only about IQOYA Talk and guest, but also IQOYA Serve Link. That'll be on our next program. But Derek, thank you very much for joining us. Derek Badala, Director of Sales for the Americas for Syntax, the exclusive distributor of Digigram products. And we've been talking about IQOYA, the new codec line from Digigram. I'm John Lynch. Thanks for joining us.
Baby, turn out the light.